Taika Waititi's Boy, released in 2010, is a coming-of-age comedy that follows the story of Boy, a young Maori New Zealand boy who discovers that his idolized father, Alamein, isn't the valiant hero that he imagined him to be. He battles parental neglect while navigating childhood innocence and what it means to be a man. I'll be analyzing how Waititi uses cinematography, mise-en-scene, and sound to explore these themes in one of the scenes. For a little bit of plot context, Boy and his younger brother Rocky are in their grandmother's care as their mother died during childbirth. While their grandma is away, Alamein unexpectedly shows up with the only two members of his gang, Juchu and Chupa, having just been released from prison. Alamein battles internal conflict as he has failed to process his wife's death and face the guilt of abandoning his children. And in order to understand Waititi's motivation, we must also understand the social context of the film. Waititi consistently weaves in his upbringing in 1980s New Zealand while still criticizing the exotic representation of Maori in cinema. This is why this film is set in 1984. The 80s is a decade which many called New Zealand's coming of age due to rapid globalization. Although Maori and European Kiwis were still socially and economically separated, cultural hybridization was occurring, even in small neglected Maori communities. Maori culture began to assimilate globalized culture, evident in Boy's idolization of Michael Jackson. The film explores the social cultural forces at play while acknowledging the issues that the Maori community were facing, such as gang violence, parental neglect, crime, and poverty. So this scene starts off with a long shot of Boy approaching the shed on a bicycle. Objects are recklessly flying out of the shed towards Boy, obstructing the slow movement of the dolly in. This reflects Alamein's carelessness and irresponsibility as he fails to take precaution that these objects could potentially hit Boy. Their costumes also reflect the social context of 1980s New Zealand. Boy's tank top is filled with references to globalized video games such as Pac-Man and Tron, depicting the cultural hybridization occurring in New Zealand, even amongst Maori communities. Alamein's jacket is marked with his gang, the Crazy Horses, establishing a sense of identity and desire to appear tough.
What's the Crazy Horses?
It's my gang.
Furthermore, how Maori men were often victims to gangs due to their limited opportunities and expectations of masculinity rooted in Maori culture. Throughout the film, Alamein's emasculated and egoistic personality is revealed, which contrasts against the image he casts onto Boy. His tattoos and clothing are ways in which he tries to mask his true egoistic inner identity, which does not conform to the masculine expectations of Maori society. Boy enters the shed and Alamein ignores him, establishing their relationship, which is also evident through the proxemics as Alamein has his back turned. This is a stereotypical depiction of the role of fathers and sons in impoverished communities, as sons often idolize their fathers, while fathers disregard parental responsibilities. It foreshadows Alamein's degeneration into a manipulative and emotionally abusive father. The mise-en-scene during this dialogue scene also foreshadows their personalities. The background is filled with clutter, symbolizing the social context of New Zealand with the messy and rapid absorption of globalized culture. It was a time where culture was merging at a pace faster than could be organized and controlled. Alamein's background features several sharp saws, foreshadowing his aggressive and very violent personality, while Boy's side features colors and a flowery mattress indicating his innocent personality that is later challenged during the film when he stops seeing his father as a hero.
I mean it! Where were you? It's off! Stop it!
Alamein's interaction with the props is crucial. The first prop is the Shogun book, which foreshadows Shogun as the nickname Alamein later chooses for himself. This also contributes to the theme of violence surrounding Alamein, which is further strengthened when he puts on a military helmet and wields a machete. These props contribute to Alamein's violent traits while suggesting that he is experiencing internal conflict. He's failed to process his wife's death and faces the guilt from abandoning his kids who still idolize him. This conflict is evident when he asks Boy to call him Shogun instead of Dad, as Dad is a constant reminder of his abandonment.
Can you stop calling me Dad? What about Shogun?
Irony is also created through the contrast between the dialogue and prop interaction during a medium close-up. Alamein states that he lives outside the law
but they're still cool.
while wielding a machete. This underpins how in New Zealand, Maori men don't live outside the law, but the opposite, composing the majority of prison populations. He adds, like the Hulk,
Like the A-Team or the Hulk.
which acts as another reference to globalized 80s pop culture. He places this label on himself as an excuse to have abandoned his family and not taking upon the responsibility. The Hulk excuse returns later again when he aggressively rips his jacket off Boy in a fit of rage, but then he compares himself to the Hulk to gain back his idolized status.
Get angry. A bit like the Hulk.
Alamein then finds one of Boy's carvings
Who's this mean carving?
and mentions how it looks like E.T.
Looks just like E.T.
Again, this reflects the cultural hybridization occurring in New Zealand at the time. Alamein sits down and the background merges with the foreground. Here it appears as though antlers are growing out of Alamein's head. This foreshadows the unlikable character he then becomes, one who's wild, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous. Though later during the climax, Alamein sits in the same chair with the antlers crookedly hanging off the wall and his helmet next to him. He looks small, almost pathetic. But in this scene, he's still seen as powerful, but eventually his image is shattered and his actual flawed and emasculated self is revealed. Next, we see a montage of Alamein and Boy driving to the coast. The use of rapid metric cutting with close-ups imitates the style of a music video, contributing to Boy's idolization of Michael Jackson. The music video style cinematography is seen often when Boy fantasizes about Alamein dancing like Michael Jackson, and in the final scene during the Haka Michael Jackson mashup performance. A high-angle close-up featured in this montage is of Alamein switching on the ignition with a spoon. This is a double entendre as it suggests that the car was stolen, which would not be out of character. It could also suggest that he has lost his car keys, which contributes to the theme of neglect as he fails to care for his car but also his family. As they drive through the coast of New Zealand, a non-diegetic instrumental of 1 Million Rainbows plays. The lyrics of the original song reflect someone wanting to travel aimlessly. The lines, "I should be the greatest captain of the sea, my body won't stop moving, gotta shut down the fooling," reflects how Alamein knows that he should be a great father or captain to his children and stop his fooling, but he has a desire to keep moving and nomadically travels aimlessly. Since it is an instrumental, it reflects the naivety of Boy. He simply hears the light tone while ignoring the juxtaposed truth revealed in the lyrics. As the song plays, there's a tracking wide shot of the car before it drives out of the frame, leaving the camera lingering on the empty road. This suggests that Alamein is speeding, as his reckless and careless behavior is present in his driving as well. They pull up in front of Boy's friends, and there is a montage of medium shots of Boy's friends' heads turning towards the car, followed by a pan, revealing the car pulling into the driveway. The pan further emphasizes the motion of heads turning, reflecting how flashy the Chrysler VJ Valiant is. At the time, it was extremely rare to have an American imported car. This strengthens Boy's idolization of Alamein as he owns an American car, perhaps one which Michael Jackson could potentially own. This could also hint at the fact that the car was stolen, as it is very unlikely that Alamein could afford it given his socio-economic status. After they exit the car, Boy imitates Alamein's body language, a behavior done reflecting both idolization and his desire to be like his father. But when Alamein decides to leave, the proxemics become significant as there is a car between them. There is a physical barrier keeping them away from each other, but this is both mentally and physically, as there is a tangible emotional barrier within their relationship. Additionally, the use of shallow focus and close-ups of each character reflects how Boy is intimately engrossed in this conversation with Alamein due to his idolization. They're in their own world, even while surrounded by Boy's friends. Although this vehicle affirms the hypermasculinity within Alamein, it immediately vanishes when he awkwardly enters the car through the window. This wide shot suggests that Boy has been taken out of this intimate moment with his father, as he's completely humiliated in front of his friends. The light tone contrasts against the dark themes of abandonment as he drives off, leaving him alone. As Waititi states, his films are a mixture of comedy and drama, as it is truer to life and it's more human. Furthermore, Waititi objects to the trope of the hyper-masculinized Maori man by constantly emasculating Alamein and making him appear weak and powerless. Through cinematography, sound, and mise-en-scene, Waititi offers this novel perspective on New Zealand's social transition. Boy was generally not well received among critics as they often viewed the film through this post-colonial theory lens, criticizing Maori's representation. Critics made the claim that the film was not authentic as it lacked the cultural exoticism that would have provided authenticity. Maori films are often subjected to this Orientalist gaze, and Boy defies it. The claim that the film was not authentically Maori was overwhelmingly made by non-Maori audience members, as the film was generally well received by Maori, who claimed that it was an accurate depiction of their experience growing up in the 80s, as it is also inspired by Waititi's own upbringing. Thus, Boy became one of New Zealand's highest-grossing films, largely due to its representation of Maori communities defying conformist tropes. Throughout this incredible piece of art called Boy, Waititi consistently criticizes exoticism while simultaneously exploring the cultural hybridization and issues rooted in Maori communities such as parental neglect, poverty, and masculinity. You should definitely go watch this film if you haven't already. Hope you enjoyed, and see you very, very, very soon.
The end.